Do not post your referral code in the comment section below, otherwise your Facebook inbox will be filled with nothing but frickin' game requests. Hey guys, it's Jaybo785. We're going to be talking about the new Holy Wars coming up, and about a couple things that you can do to prepare for that. So far on Wiki Rage at Bahamut, there isn't a lot of information out on Holy Wars, so the information I'm going to be giving you is from past events. I've pretty much been in Rage at Bahamut games since the very beginning, so take that with a grain of salt, and of course, read ahead. But this information should help get you prepped and help your order do better. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about the new cards that came out. And, of course, cards like Luminous Night and whatever else is like it. So, one of the things is, I say don't spend money on this game, but if you're going to, it seems like they got some pretty good cards out in this new series. Of course, something else will probably come out better in the next box. A couple things that you can do to help basically win is getting your card's skill level up. What I recommend is don't skill up anything that's less than an SR or higher, okay? And even then, I wouldn't skill up a card's level unless you plan on keeping that card in your deck for quite a while. Now, when should you try to skill up a card's level? Do it in its 4-6 Evo status when you're needing to normally level up that card's level. That's when I would go ahead and use cards that have a skill effects that are skilled high normals or better, and only use those cards, okay? Don't waste, high normal non-skilled cards or regular normal cards when doing that. Yes, it will take longer, so unless you're in a rush, don't do that, because then you're simply wasting the normal cards that you could have used for a better purpose. A couple cards that are actually really good at doing this are the Archangel Queen, which you'll get from the Stamp campaign, or you can just trade for it. They're actually pretty cheap on the Bazaar. From what I've seen, they normally go for 3 HP, or you can get them for 2.5 HP, or if you buy a ton of them, you can get them for about 2 HP per. And cards that are treasure high rares and whatnot usually go for about 2 HP per. So, it's a decent card. Another card that I'd recommend is using Santa Claus. Santa Claus is one of the rewards, if you'd even given enough credit for that. Its base is a high rare, its stats are really crappy. I could not see this card going for more than 3 HP. You could probably pick it up for 2 HP. Maybe 3 HP for the simple fact that if you Evo these, it becomes an S rare. And of course, guys, as you know, as you level up a card, the percentage becomes lower and lower on the chances of that skill level actually going up. So, using higher rarity cards increases that percentage that card will go up. That's why S rare cards will give you a much greater chance than a high rare card. Another card that you might consider using is the Archpriest Maria, which a ton of these are going to be given out when they give out the rewards from the last event, the Not So Silent Night. The reason that this card might be actually worth getting is because it is a piece of crap. As you can see at a 4-7 status, it's 15,600, a 15 is 16,200, and it is a big hit to foes defense all, which is only 8%. So far as you can see, it's a pretty worthless card. So it will probably be pretty cheap, especially since there's going to be about 40,000 plus of these entering the market. And honestly, I can't really see these cards going for very much or being very probable. I would maybe use this for my 4th and 5th slot in a God's deck if I had one, which I'm Man Realm. So if you can pick this card up cheaply, and if you can't afford a Devil Queen, this might be a plausible exchange. Or, if you're going for a level 9, level 8, level 10, this might be a card to use for those levels. So, let's see. That's the Not So Silent Night. Going back to Holy Wars. Okay, one thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a really good attack deck for Holy Wars. This is what's going to help you get points, and normally you're going to need a minimum of 5,000, 20,000, or 30,000 to qualify for order rankings. Usually there's a bronze, a silver, and a gold rank. And normally what you'll get out of those ranks are cards like Beowulf, like Devil Queen Olivia, and like God of the Hunt Davia, or whatever you would call it. And so, as you know, those cards are pretty much worthless. They're untradeable until it's at least a 4-6 Evo, and even then you usually have to wait quite a while before that card's allowed to be traded, if ever able to be traded at all. Beowulf was the card most recently given out for the 5,000 person campaign. And speaking of that, one thing that I'd like to see is hopefully during this Holy War they actually give out some really good prizes for a much larger group. Unfortunately, they've been getting really stingy with their awards. Like in the last event, you had to place 3,000 or higher to get the White King, which was about the only decent award and higher than that. So people that are taking rank 10,000 like I did, about the best thing I got was a Legend card pack, and we all know how worthwhile those pieces of crap are. So, I think out of 5 million players, which yes, there are people that have multiple accounts, and there are people that have much more than multiple accounts and do so illegally or against the rules of the Rage of Bahamut, and there are people that have multiple accounts and do it legitimately by using their mom, dad's, brother, sister, or spouse's phone. So, like I said, 5 million people and only 3,000 awards that are given out that are even decent. And even then, unless you're a Demon Realm, are you going to use that? Most likely not. I really hope that this Holy Wars brings the game and that they give out some better awards. Unfortunately, I'm really low on HP right now because I spent so much on the Not So Silent Night trying to make the top 2,000 awards until I realized that the first place person had over 3,300,000 presents on himself. So now that I'm done with that little rant, let's talk about some cards. The Luminous Night is basically a better version of Sector. Sector, when it first came out, was going for well over 30 HP per. It was a big boost to Holy War points upon victory. Basically, what that means is that you get about a 10% boost to your Holy War points upon winning that battle. Depending on how strong an opponent you're facing, depends on how many Holy War points you get, and of course, how many attack points you're using attacking that person. The most I've ever gotten was around 300. Normally I get about 200, 250. And then, of course, if you're attacking the defense leader, the attack leader, the vice president, or the order leader, and I'm thinking I'm forgetting one there. Anyways, you'll either get a 1.5 or 1.2 bonus to those points on top of that. So, getting about, and how did you figure that out, guys? Sorry, I kind of got ahead of myself. Is just like the battle reward ranking system that normally goes on. If you see that, you'll get a whole bunch of points from them, and if their defense is really high, then chances are that's going to be a stronger opponent. Where if it's really low, which I've seen people that have well over 200 defense points, but it says I'm only going to get like 18 battle award ranking points, which check that estimated feeder, which is usually in the top right corner, then chances are it's just a bluff. Or they, for some odd reason, have the wrong defense deck in place. Or that opponent's been attacked so many times that they're only using one defense card or 0 defense cards. So keep an eye out for that. Now, one thing I don't like about Rage of Bahamut game is they'll have cards like this, Sector, which used to be a very expensive card. And as you can see, its stats are decent, 16,500. And, it does give you a boost of Holy War points, so you think that you'd want to use this all the time. And just a little while later, they'll come out with a card like Luminous Night, which is essentially the exact same damn thing, except its stats are then 18,500, so much better. The Sector is now pretty much worthless on the Bazaar system, where this card, the Luminous Night, is still pretty expensive. I've seen them going as cheap as 22 HP per. And from what I've heard, that this card actually gives a, I think, bonus of, instead of just 10%, 20 to 25% to the amount of points that you'll receive. Now, is this card worth using? If you watch one of my earlier vids when I talked about Holy Wars, it basically boils down to this. If you have an extremely strong deck, and if you can afford to put this in the first slot, which means that it's going to go off 100% of the time, then yes, I guess so. But reward, risk versus reward, talking about that, for essentially, if you lose one battle, you lose more points than what this card could possibly get you. So, unless you're spending a ton of HP, have an extremely strong deck, and planning on using one of these, then it's not worth it, in my opinion, for the amount of HP that it costs you to get this, especially since they'll probably come out with something better, and then thus this card is absolutely worthless, so you wasted your HP. Also, an important concept to grasp, guys, is people have asked me, if I have a Luminous Night and a Sector or a Mithril Golem or a Ares or anything like that in my deck, do those effects stack? So rather than just getting the 25% bonus from this card, would I essentially get 35% or 45%? Or if all three stats go off, would I get 75%? No, you don't. And I think that's one of the reasons why Sector is so cheap. People bought out a bunch of them, were running 5 of these in their decks, which at the time Sector was actually a pretty strong card, and hoping that they would get that 35-50% bonus. These effects do not stack, according to Rage of Bahamut, and according to GameFAQs, which I double-checked before I made this video. So don't go out and spend a lot of money on this card expecting the effects to stack. So what should you put in your deck instead? Cards that I would put in my deck instead are cards like Claymore Maid, that boost just your deck. Now, for every card like Claymore Maid, there's a version for God, and there's a version for Demons. And guys, I know I've been slacking on those other two realms. People have been requesting that I make other videos, and that is my next video plan. So, why do I say cards like Claymore Maid? Claymore Maid is a big boost in mana attack. That's 13% compared to the 8 or 10% boost of other cards, okay? At its maxed Evo status, it's S rare. Its basic stats are pretty strong at a 4/7, 17,420. So why choose this rather than an SSR or a Legend card? It's because its skills effect is so much easier to get up. So at its skill level 10, it's then 23% or 22%, okay? And as you can see, that will make a huge difference. And before the skill regulation, which basically says if you have multiple cards in the deck, the first one goes off for normal, and then the second one is much less, and the third one is almost non-existent if it's the same card and the same skill. People were running 5 of these, and we're hitting well over 170,000 plus attack points, okay? So with the new skill regulation, people are selling off their second and third one of these, or probably fourth and fifth one of these, and the market is flooded. So you can pick up a base one of these for 9 to 10 HP from what I've seen, possibly even cheaper if you hunt around, and I think that is a hell of a steal, guys. Especially if you're a man roam and don't have one of these in your deck yet. These used to go for 60-65 HP plus per. So definitely try to get one of these if you have. Another thing to probably go ahead and pop on, guys, is Tristan. Tristan is S rare. As you can see, its stats are 4/7, 17,668. So it's not a great card, especially at an SSR level. It's going to be very hard to get that card's skill level up. It's great hit the foe's defense all, which is only 10%, so it's kind of low. But here's my argument for this. This card is actually very cheap on the Bazaar system right now. I've seen them going for around 30 HP. You can probably get them cheaper. The reason is that there's already a much better card out called Achilles, okay? Achilles is great hit to foe's defense all, 10%, so same effect, but its stats are much better. At a 4/7, 20,950, so almost 3,000 points higher. This is why I say go ahead and pick up Tristan right now if you have the HP. Rumor has it, which guys, I recommend that you get on the Japanese Wiki Rage of Bahamut, do some research, do some translating, is that this may be one of the next 5th Evo cards, thus greatly rising its price. Now, at a 4/7, 17,600, adding the 15% that you usually get from the next proper Evo, times 1.15, is then 20,240, compared to the Achilles of 20,950, which is much more expensive. This could be a very good 4th and 5th wing card. Now guys, is that a risk? Is it a gamble? Yes. But the reward, I believe, is very much worth it. Another really important concept that unfortunately people tend to neglect is people are going to be attacking you. In Holy Wars, you might have a lot of points, but when people attack you, you lose those points. I forget the exact percentage, but it can make the difference between your order winning or losing. And you guys, you got to remember, when you win that battle, you get that bonus points, okay? So that really helps you rank up. Now, that being said, there are battles that we are losing. I spent close to 20-30 HP on, and we lost that battle, and that really cost me on my points, and it was even a wider gap if you consider a net positive of almost sorts of what that could have been. So be careful and make sure that you're going to actually win the battle before you go all out. But that being said, people tend to forget and people tend to neglect their defense. So if you're Man Realm, one of the cards that people are really dumping on the market, and this card has started to make a comeback in its price, is Paladin. Paladin is an extremely important card to have in your man defense deck because you can get this card's skill level up so much easier than its SSR or its legend status type of card, okay? As you can see, it's a big boosted man defense, which is the strongest version of this man card out there. Unfortunately, it's a little bit weak at a 4/7, it's only 15,000 defense, but you can easily boost this card's skill level up, put this in your first or second slot, and thus it becomes an amazing defense boosting card. At the time, at the very low, one of our order members, Thick, got one of these, 4/7 proper Evo, skill level 7, so almost skill level 10, for around 30 HP. This card originally used to go for 30 HP by itself. So, as you can see, very cheap card, very great card to get in your deck. And of course, guys, there's gods and there's demon versions of this. I think Bloody Mistress is the most common one that I run into. That's the demon version of this, and I believe that that is a 17,000 defense base rather than 15,000. One of the cards that I've been really enthusiastic about for the man defense realm is Queen of Hearts, okay? This is a big boost to man's and god's defense. I wouldn't run this in a god's defense deck unless you are desperate, because there are a better version of this out there already that is a god version, so it's going to give you that 5% boost to that card. But being a big boost to man-god's defense, it will give you at least an 8% bonus and a possibly 10% bonus. So, its skill is unfortunately much weaker than the Paladin's, but it being an S-Rare Max Evo, it's going to only give you a 5% less than its Max Evo status. So rather than being a 23% boost, it's going to give you an 18% boost, okay? So it's still a very good card to put in your defense deck if you are trying to get around that skill level effect. And as you can see, this one is actually 17,000 base defense, so quite a bit stronger than the Paladin, which could be a big step up. Now, one last thing I'm going to talk about are wall busting cards. For this one, Master Gunner, there is then Ares, and then there is then Mithril Gold for the God and Demon version, okay? Now, as you all know, once you take down the Holy War wall of your opponent, then your stats are much higher boosted. I'm sorry, the amount of Holy War points that you get is much higher boosted. I think it's around a 50% bonus. So if you want to win that battle, you pretty much have to take down that wall. Now, guys, just as an experiment, I tried 3 of these in my deck, and then 5 of these in my deck. Master Gunner, all 4/7 Evo, proper Evo'd, all skill level 3. Now, since only 3 skills can mainly go off per attack, okay, I had all 5 of these in my deck to increase the percentage, okay? The max I was doing was 5,500 damage to the wall, which I think has at least 45,000 defense. So you can see it's still going to take me quite a few HP to take down. It's going to take me at least 3 HP, but normal is about 5 HP to take down the wall by myself. So you eat up a lot of HP trying to take down that wall. That's why it's important to have multiple wall busters in your order so that one person just isn't eating through HP, or that you have a little nest egg put away to distribute that to your order members that are busting the wall. Because it's unfair for one person to spend close to 50 HP during one Holy War to bust all those walls, because busting the wall gives you almost no Holy War points. It's pretty unfair. I think it's a concept that needs to change. Speaking of the amount of Holy War points that you get, if you can't bust through their defense order leader, one thing that you can do is, if that order happens to be inactive, which we ran into a couple of those that have just one amazing defense leader, you can win the war through just attacking the wall. We've done that a couple times, and the reason we did that is we were going for the amount of battle bonuses, which, guys, it's usually 10 battles, 20 battles, 30 battles, okay? And if you win all 30 battles, you usually get a pretty damn nice card, especially for all your order leaders. But remember, you usually have to reach that 30,000 minimum H Holy War points, okay? So keep an eye on that before you go all out. So, my experiment was this. Which one is better? Is it better to have 3 of these or 5 of these in your deck, which is a question I've gotten. It's kind of even, to tell you the truth. If you have 3 of these in your deck, and then your 4th and 5th slot are just massive, huge attack cards, then I'd stick with the 3, especially if those 3 have really high skill levels. If you're like me, from what this card's attack is, which I think it's only like 14,000 at a proper 4/7, my max cards are only about 17,000 attack, like Claymore Lade, like Master Strategist, and such. So running 5 of these in my Wallbuster deck, because the skill levels are already so low, is a much better deal for me. If you have 3 of these, skill levels 10, and you have much stronger cards in that 4th and 5th slot, that would be the better trade-off. So that's something to keep in mind. And one last card to talk about skill leveling up is Strategist. This card is given out in Quest 37, and yes, there's Quest 18-4, which I forget the man card that you get out of that one. The reason I say go for this one instead, but because it's unfortunate that it does eat up at least 45 stamina points per quest event, okay, is that it seems that this one is given out at a much higher frequent rate than Quest 18-4. That's just from my personal experience. I could be wrong. I might be just talking out of my ass. But that's something to keep in mind if you're looking for skilled high normals to either sell or to help get your own card skill levels up. So, guys, I know that this video is going on a little bit long. We're going to go ahead and end it up. My username is Jaybo785. If you have any questions or concerns, please put them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer those in a timely fashion. Feel free to message me in-game with any questions or concerns. And if this video has helped you, and if you have extra advice laying around, or a new player planning on joining, please use my referral code RUM26800. That'll get you a free rare card and some rubies, and do the same for me. Thanks again, guys. This is Jaybo signing off. I hope that this video has helped you very much. Good luck to you in the next Holy Wars.